All right, hello. We're presenting our analysis on the Boston Beer Company and issues we found so far. I'm John.
Rocio.
Jesus.
Michael.
Justice.
Trent.
And Richard.
And we'll go ahead and get started. Firstly, what we're looking at with the industry environment, some issues we've gone over. The social-cultural environment poses an issue in the sense that water is one of the main ingredients for beer and for Boston Beer Works. Essentially, it takes 7 gallons of water to produce 1 gallon of beer on average, and that poses an issue with the growing Go Green customer base that craft breweries and beer drinkers typically see. So that's one issue among the socio-cultural environment. Next, the economic environment. Like we discussed earlier in the semester, how the merger between the top 2 companies, Anheuser-Busch and Miller, in the long run is going to cause prices to rise. That poses an issue with Boston Beer Company as they can get drawn out to rise prices as well, and when they do that, they lack the customer base and the customer
Word out there. What's it called when they're like
stick to one brand. Customer loyalty.
Loyalty.
Customer loyalty, and so that poses an issue as they might not be able to compete with the higher prices posed by Miller and AB InBev. Lastly, political legal and the brewery environment regulations, government regulations are covered anywhere from production to labeling to alcohol content, and that's steady and never going to change, and in the future they expect it to get more strict. At the same time, they're dealing with taxes, and that's all going to pose threats in the future for Boston Beer Company.
So the issues we found with the industry are the intense competition that the other small breweries are competing with the Boston Beer Company, and as well as the large companies who control about 70% of the market. Another big issue we have is the big breweries merging together. This gives them an extremely large bargaining power over suppliers and enables them to control the hops and barley that they desire. This is a bad thing for Boston Beer Company because they're a smaller brewery and it's much more costly for them to produce compared to the big breweries. The last issue I want to cover is the low bargaining power Boston Beer Company has with suppliers. It's mainly due to the high costs that the Boston Beer Company cannot easily compete with other companies in the industry, and that's about it.
And on our resource-based view, our first resource was the position among the retailers, and it's a strong value, but it's not very rare because almost every beer can get into stores or is already in stores. But it does create sustainable competitive advantage. Our next resource is our financial resource, which is a temporary competitive advantage because companies can go under at any time and lose business. So it's not rare either. And customer loyalty is another resource, and it's valuable because the community of Boston Beer Company is extremely unique in its own way, but it's not very rare because many consumers of beer are changing their preferences in beer and what they like, and anything can happen in that. But with the fact that it is such a big community as it is, that's a big fan of Boston Beer Company, it does create a strong competitive advantage.
Okay, so adding on to the resources, the pricing strategy is not rare. It also adds value, and it's adding a temporary competitive advantage. Their tracking record of project execution is hard to imitate, so competitors cannot do this with the same expertise as they can. This has a strong competitive advantage for Boston Company. Their talent to manage their regulatory and legal obligations is not rare, since they have to adhere to some certain standards established by the Beer Institute and the Brewers Association.
Yo, so much I did pass over.
Oh,
So with customer community, it's something that's difficult to imitate, as building community around your brand takes time and dedication. But doing so allows for brand build up. Yikes. And with the pricing strategies, these are easily available throughout the company, and it's good to not imitate them, but try to strategize your pricing around different type of beers and the way that you want to implement them in stores.
Clearly there was a typo.
Yeah.
And so now for supply chain analysis. So similarly to what Mike said, it's the suppliers have a lot of bargaining power when it comes to the things they supply, like hops, yeast, and in Boston Beer Company's case, apples. So some apples are in a good season at certain periods of time in the season, and some hops are just more requested than others. So depending on their seasonal beers and what their current requirements are, it could make the bargaining power of these suppliers a lot higher at certain points in time throughout the year, due to the fact that they're not a massive company, but they're not a small microbrewing company, but they do have those specialty craft beers that require very specific and certain ingredients that go into it that really puts a kink in their supply chain. Strength would be that, like he said, everyone's wanting to buy beer, everyone's trying to get beer in. There's no shortage of retailers requesting beer. It's just how efficiently and low costly they can get the products to make that beer. So that's pretty much what we've analyzed so far through the supply chain.
and that's our preliminary report. We look forward to sending you our final.
Awesome, thank you.